Hello folks! Today we will learn about basic sentence structure and fragments. Earlier we have learned about parts of speech, which is a key part to form a sentence. But to form any sentence in English, you need basic rules to form it and need to avoid the basic mistakes that are known as fragments. So let's begin with today's lesson. Basic sentence structure. Parts of sentences. Subject, predicate, object, indirect object, complement. Every word in a sentence serves a specific purpose within the structure of that particular sentence. According to rules of grammar, sentence structure can sometimes be quite complicated. For the sake of simplicity, however, let's say that the basic parts of a sentence are divided in two parts. The two most basic parts of a sentence are the subject and the predicate, like this. Subject. The subject of a sentence is the person, place, or thing that is performing the action of the sentence. The subject represents what or whom the sentence is about. The simple subject usually contains a noun or pronoun and can include modifying words, phrases, or clauses. The man. Predicate. The predicate expresses action or being within the sentence. The simple predicate contains the verb and can also contain modifying words, phrases, or clauses. The man builds a house. The subject and the predicate make up the two basic structural parts of any complete sentence. In addition, as we mentioned above, that there are other elements contained with the subject or predicate that add meaning or detail. These elements include the direct object, indirect object, and subject complement. All of these elements can be expanded and further combined into simple, compound, complex, or compound-complex sentences that we will discuss in detail in a separate video later. For now, let's stick to the basics. Direct object. The direct object receives the action of the sentence. The direct object is usually a noun or pronoun. The man builds a house. The man builds it. Indirect object. The indirect object indicates to whom or for whom the action of the sentence is being done. The indirect object is usually a noun or pronoun. The man builds his family a house. The man builds them a house. Subject complement. A subject complement either renames or describes the subject and therefore is usually a noun, pronoun, or adjective. Subject complements occur when there is a linking verb within the sentence. Often a linking verb is a form of the verb to be. The man is a good father. Here, father is a noun which renames the subject. The man seems kind. Here, kind is an adjective which describes the subject. Sentence fragments. Besides the elements within a sentence, it is a group of words that contains three things as well. A subject that makes sense with the verb, a verb that goes with the subject, a complete thought. A sentence fragment is a group of words that lacks one or more of these three things. While there are many ways to end up with a fragment, almost every fragment is simply a result of one of the following three problems. It is missing a subject, it is missing a verb, or it fails to complete the thought it starts. English conventions require that you avoid writing fragments, so you must be able to identify them in your writing and fix them. To begin to identify fragments in your writing, read a sentence aloud. Does it sound complete? If you walked up to a stranger and said it to him, would it sound like a complete thought to him? Even if it sounds okay to you because you already know what you mean, look at it and identify the subject, who or what did the action, and the verb, what the subject did, to make sure they are there. If a subject is missing or the verb sounds a little strange or the thought is left hanging, how would you know? Okay, let's get through the following ways. Missing subjects. Some fragments are missing subjects. However, each sentence must have a subject of its own. The following fragment lacks a subject. Was running late that day. Who was running late? The instructor? The train? A simple way to correct this fragment is to add a subject. I was running late that day. Phrases which include words ending in ing often appear as fragments. Biking and swimming after work on Thursday. What about biking and swimming? Who is biking and swimming? Are you proposing that we all go biking and swimming? Add both a subject and a verb to correct this. Michelle went biking and swimming after work on Thursday. Another suspect in the missing subject category is a phrase like this one. To register for class before the deadline. Who wants to register? Or failed to register? Or plans to register? This fragment lacks both subject and verb. To register is not really a verb, but another thing entirely. The simplest fix is to add a subject and verb. Stan hopes to register for class before the deadline. Avoid the mistake of thinking that a command, demand, or request lacks a subject. This kind of sentence has an unstated subject you. So the subject of turn in your schedule changes at the counter is you. You turn in your schedule changes at the counter. Missing verbs. Some fragments are fragments because they are missing a verb or an essential part of a verb. Any phrase, no matter how long, is a fragment if the verb is missing. The birch trees with their rattling yellow leaves. What about the birch trees? Adding a verb makes this fragment complete. The birch trees with their rattling yellow leaves swayed in the wind. Some verbs require helpers in order to be complete. Words ending in ing, for example, must include helpers such as is, are, was, were, will be, or has been to be real verbs. Without these helpers, they are not verbs. The fragment below contains an incomplete verb. Caroline is studying her sociology tonight at Moses downtown. Did your ear hear the strangeness? Add helpers to make the verb complete and repair the fragment. Caroline will be studying her sociology tonight at Moses downtown. Unfinished thoughts. A very common type of fragment is the unfinished thought fragment, while other kinds of fragments require you to add something, a subject or a verb or both. You can often fix unfinished thought fragments simply by joining them to a preceding or following sentence. The following example, while it contains a subject and a verb, fails to complete the thought. Because tuition increased again this semester. The word to blame for making this thought incomplete is because. Contrary to rumor, it's perfectly okay to start a sentence with because. You just have to finish what you are saying in the same sentence. If you find a fragment of this kind, see if the sentence before or the sentence after it is completed. Because tuition increased again this semester, Ko got a second job as a student assistant. Or Ko must take fewer units because tuition increased again this semester. If the preceding or following sentence does not complete the unfinished thought, add the missing information to the fragment to make it complete. There are many words that, by their mere presence, make a clause incomplete. For example, since, while, when, unless, although. In spite of the rules of grammar, language is plastic and can be shaped a great many ways. So for any fragment problem, many solutions exist. The more you practice writing, the more you will be able to spot fragments and fix them. See you in our next video. Till then, see ya!